I honestly would probably take a few of my cameras down because I have a lot of cameras because they're for testing. But like if someone came by and they were walking around my backyard, 3 cameras following their every move, they might think, well, why does this guy have all these cameras? Like, what is he doing? What's wrong with his neighborhood? This like high crime or something?
Well, I mean, they're gonna figure it out when they see the growing lights in your basement. But everybody, hi. All right, thanks for joining us here today for technical difficulties. I'm your host, Pete. We got Brandon. We got Vince. Brandon's special today because he is a real estate agent. And we're going to be talking about...
Allegedly.
Potential...
Oh, I said allegedly.
Allegedly. No, he's got a certificate and everything that he may or may not...
He's the real deal.
Ooh, a license. Yeah, he's got an actual...
License to sell.
Education. So he's the one that's ripping us off from our homes. But he's going to tell us... He's going to tell us all about preparing, selling, buying, everything you know about real estate as far as smart homes go. So how they make the most of your money, what maybe you want to buy, what you shouldn't buy. It's going to be great. We also got smart home news. And right now, we got a message from Zeus.
Smart home news.
We don't have any news. We don't have any news today? We don't know.
No news.
No news.
We don't have it. Nothing has happened. It's amazing. Nothing's happened in the smart home world. And so that's why we have no news. But we're going to go, after a message from Zeus, right to Brandon. So let's talk about our sponsor today, Zeus.
Zeus makes quality smart home devices you can depend on.
Sure does.
They are pioneers in the Z-Wave industry that you can always turn to for the latest Z-Wave tech. In fact, most of their product line has been already updated to Z-Wave long range. Zeus believes the best value in smart home comes from devices that pull double, triple, or even quadruple duty, like the Zeus Q sensor that detects motion, temperature, humidity, and luminosity all in one. They even have their own smart home hub, the Z-Box hub.
Yeah, they do.
For automating your Z-Wave devices. You can order the Z-Box hub alone or in a value pack, such as the Z-Box Smart Flood Protection Kit that includes the Z-Box hub, the Titan valve controller, and 2 Zeus leak detectors at a discounted price. You can find this value pack and all the best prices on Zeus smart home products at thesmartesthouse.com.
Zeus is amazing. Okay. All right, Brandon. We got a full action-packed episode today about smart home in the real estate universe, and you're a realtor, man.
I am.
All right. So, how common is smart home technology these days when it comes to homes that you're seeing on the market and things?
Do buyers care?
Do they care? Yeah. I think for buyers, it's a pretty good driver, right? They see like the Ring doorbell, they see the smart thermostat, and they get excited about that. On the builder side, we're seeing them become more prominent, like you get a smart home and it comes with some connected devices. So yeah, certainly there are more people interested in smart home technology. I don't know that it's really raising the price point as much as it is just getting people excited and it's maybe even selling the homes faster.
So how do you even know, like you say, it doesn't raise the price point? I've always wondered this about real estate agents. They're like, oh, this ups the value. Like I think you're making it up, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like it's all based on comparable sales. So like if we took 2 houses and one had smart tech and the other didn't, we could look at the price difference.
But there aren't two, like there's not exactly two houses.
Okay, and so I own a granite countertop business, and so we go into the same thing. It's always about getting more interest. So if you have more interest in your home, like the likelihood of selling at a higher price is going to be better. Can we quantify how much that's going to be? But no. But if we're making improvements, whether it's smart home or countertops, things like that, you're getting more people into your driving you to business to you.
I always say like it's the wow factor.
Yeah.
Then that sets it apart from other homes. And as long as it's complementary, right? Like there is a point where we cross over and it becomes intimidating where they're like, well, I don't know if I'm ready for that. So there are for sure where we say, okay, maybe we tone some of this stuff back. But
you mean I have a hard time selling my house with my LED wall?
Yeah, it's going to take a unique buyer.
Are you kidding me? That thing's awesome. Like, I think there'd be people walking into the house and be like, I don't want to see the rest of the house. I just want a house with that wall and sold. So, I mean, it's kind of like
maybe. I'm not selling, but
I mean, it's like a pool, right?
Exactly.
it can add value for some people. It can make people walk away for other people. So
Correct. Yes. Or it's like solar, anything like that as well. It's kind of the same boat. Nice thing with smart home tech is that most of it, you could remove it if you needed to. So I did have an instance where I was selling a home. It was a median price point for the area, and they had Control 4, which was not very common at that price point. And so full lighting and everything. And we actually had him remove that. He was able to sell that on eBay, and then we were able to just sell the houses without like really pushing the smart tech.
did you drop it down to Control 3 or Control 2, or just you took it out?
We just went with the standard issue dumb switch.
Okay.
Interesting thing there too is he had this really cool theater, but then like when he moved, he took like all of the AV equipment with it, so he just left behind these wires. It's like, man, I hope the next person knows what the heck they're doing, because otherwise they're gonna have to hire somebody. But like we advertised it as this cool theater.
Now it could be a golf simulator room instead. See, you helped them out.
It's a big trend.
I know.
Say theaters are going away. We're seeing more media rooms being common. And then that space that was previously being utilized as a theater is either becoming a gym or a golf simulator. So
Yeah, I don't have room for that.
Make room for
I
that.
want one, but I
you
can't.
put it in your garage, like
It's true.
Right.
I'd have to raise the ceiling though, I think.
Flatten your swing.
Flat. I could put it in the shed where I have all my equipment for countertops, but I saw some builders offering smart home packages. Like, what are those?
Yeah, so the big national builders have packages built out. So like Lennar, D.R. Horton, Pulte. And really what they're doing is taking some Wi-Fi connected devices. So like your MyQ garage door opener, we're going to have like a smart thermostat, typically Honeywell in our area, which is a good thermostat. You might see some smart lighting, but what they'll do is it'll be like one switch. It's like a front door, like outside lights. And then you can add on from there, right? But they'll do like a wireless package. So they'll include like a router. For Lennar, it's the Eero. So they have that included. And then they're doing a Ring doorbell. And then smart lock as well. So Lennar is doing Schlage. Then they switched over to Level. So it's like built in. In some markets, they switch back to Schlage. D.R. Horton does Z-Wave. So they're using alarm.com type stuff.
Right.
Qualsys, I think, panel. Is what it is. But they're like selling you a package, and then you get like a security system included for a while. But that one, they'll use Z-Wave for the lock and for the switches and stuff. But basically, you're getting a few devices, and then there's kind of this focus on like the home was designed for good connectivity. So whether that's hardwired Ethernet or just like well mapped out Wi-Fi, it's pretty nice. It's been a driver for homeowners for sure.
Are they then trying to sell you on a subscription then? If you buy this smart home package, they're like, oh yeah, then you get the monitoring package and you can add additional stuff.
Definitely that's happening. You're buying into a security system. They might get a couple years for free at a promotional rate. With Lennar, it's Ring, so it does work by itself, but yes, you could subscribe. I'm not sure that anything is included. So it's interesting. Like you have the functionality of a doorbell. You could see who's there. But yeah, if you want some of the more advanced features, you're on the hook for that monthly or annual subscription.
So
kind of something you should consider.
So when it comes to building a house, right? If I want to build a house, and I'm obviously a DIYer, I got the logo right there. Right?
He's gonna build it. He's gonna build his own house.
All right. So, but if I'm building a house, I know I want to have a smart home. Do I hire a professional at that point? Do I do it at the building stage? What should I be considering when I'm building a new home, knowing I want to have it smart? But I'm probably going to want to do more than whatever this smart home package is that we were just talking about, right?
Yeah. So I would really focus on things that are behind the wall. That it would be expensive to do after the fact, but very cheap to do up front. So a really robust pre-network or pre-wire. And so I'm talking about putting multiple Cat6 in rooms. And so that way you can do control, you can do audio, video distribution if you want. And then you have, hardwire spots for not only the TV, but also maybe the streaming device or the gaming device that's there. A lot of people will just do one run. I think it's good to do 3 or more. And then thinking about where in the home you're going to have your devices. So like if you're going to put your desk against this wall, maybe you want to have the run there. There's this misconception that everything's wireless nowadays, which is just not true. There's really, you get too much congestion on your network. And so a good wireless network starts with a good, strong backbone that's hardwired. So whenever we can hardwire a device, we should, because we want to do that. And even the access points that go, like, they're hardwired back to the central location. So I really recommend people start there. And if you're thinking about future proofing, you might want to do like wiring in place for speakers. You don't necessarily have to put them in right away. Or if like you think maybe you're going to do a panel on the wall, just run the Cat 6 there. And then at least the wire is there so you can access it. And if you want to do blinds like we talked about in our previous episode, you would have that available to you.
So pre-wire the power for the blinds and everything like that?
Yeah, so usually a Cat 6, or sometimes it's a specific type of wire. But yeah, just putting all that in ahead of time is going to save you money in the long run.
Or is anybody pre-wiring? I know there's security, like contact sensors and stuff that are pre-wired. Is anyone pre-wiring like motion sensors and things throughout the house that you could use as part of your smart home, so you don't need to worry about batteries and things like this?
Yeah, you could do all of that actually. That gets to be a little bit more expensive. And so for some of the sensors, I think, just doing it wirelessly is acceptable. But anything that's going to be a significant amount of power or data, then I recommend having hardwired.
Okay, what about, and one more thing about building a home, I know some people are doing low voltage power for lighting, right? And so are you seeing, is that more common? Is that helpful with the smart home if you can do it, or would you recommend just
so you're really going to just see that on the high end. Okay. So if you're working with a lighting designer, they might have systems that operate that way. But for most people, we're still talking about having a traditional switch and then traditional LED lighting in the home. So, but yeah, when you do your pre-wire, just, thinking ahead, like, hey, maybe I'm going to add a robot vacuum. Maybe I want to add a drain for the self emptying and whatever. Or, like, if you're going to do a bidet, like Vince, he's going to want to have that outlet by the toilet.
I know. I got to put a whole outlet in. I was like trying to.
And just
What's that?
Actually, a little bit and Ethernet.
yeah. But like intelligent locations, like having the intelligent location. So a lot of people, like, they'll stick the access point in the closet, and it's like, okay, it's out of sight, but like also you're reducing the signal strength,
right?
Because it's
Yep.
So you can really tell when a builder doesn't understand these things. Like, I think technology first. A lot of times for people, technology is an afterthought, and then it's like too late. Example, my aunt built this multi-million-dollar home, and she really wanted the frame TV, but she didn't like tell them about this ahead of time, so they didn't have the enclosure in place, and so they had to go back and rework the cabinetry and stuff because there's a box that goes behind it, and that's how it's allowed to sit so flush, and then there's a cable that runs to the controller. So we want to think about these things ahead of time. And then same with security cameras. I always say best practice is to run 2 lines out to each corner of the house and to every entry point. That way you can have all the different angles covered. And even if you're not going to do it right away, like maybe in the future you'll want to do that, and then you can avoid having you and your friend go up in the attic. It was a fun day, but
yeah, that's right. You got a ladder.
Probably got cancer.
You got a ladder out of the deal. So
yeah.
What items actually add value to your home when you're talking about smart home stuff?
Yeah, so I think smart lighting and shades is a big driver, and it is a lot of this is price point driven, right? So when we get into the luxury market, you start to expect to see that more robust controls. But for everyday homeowners, the thermostat, obviously, it's going to pay for itself. And I think a smart lock and a smart a doorbell, or like a video doorbell, are certainly items that add value, that people see it and they get excited about it.
Right.
Even though they're cheap devices themselves, like the impact is larger.
Sure. Is there anything you would say that will hurt the value of my home? Definitely. Like, don't do this. This is a terrible idea.
Yeah, when you add your Wiz...
I'm not going to put the label. I'm not going to say it's a Wiz. They're not going to find that out till they buy it. Then they'll
when they watch the podcast.
see the joy of Wiz.
Yeah, so it comes down to like narrowing your buyer pool, right? So if you go too crazy on something that maybe is very in line with your taste, but the next buyer might not like that, and it's permanent, might become an issue.
Like the lights, like the LED lights around my kid's bedroom, right? Like that's
Yeah, so that's pretty common, right? Like kids like to have LEDs, but and that's very easy to remove. And
Correct.
honestly, like kids hang a lot of stuff in their rooms anyway, so it's pretty common where the kid moves out of there. You typically end up repainting that room, so that's not a big deal.
Is the market shifting back to where this stuff matters? Like for a while, it seemed like they weren't even doing inspections for like people just like, I'll take it, whatever, whatever conditions it's in. It didn't really matter. You didn't have to stage it.
Sight unseen.
Yeah, it practically was like, just, the
There's
market.
certainly a shortage of inventory, and so there's still people buying. But like whenever possible, you want to put your house in the best light you can to market it appropriately, and just do these little things at a time. And so like for me, if I were to list our house today, there's a lot of like tech that I would just remove because it frankly would just confuse people. And there's a big difference between like a fixture and personal property. And so like the lock and the thermostat, those are fixtures, they'll go in the house. But like the hubs and some of the things that are, operating stuff, it's personal property. I'm going to take it with me. And like them seeing it there might like cause them to either be overwhelmed or to think that would be included when it's not.
So you would remove that before you even show the house?
Most likely, to have a conversation about like, what do I want to leave with the house? What do I intend on taking with me? And then either disclose that at a time or just physically remove it. And I honestly would probably take a few of my cameras down, like, because I have a lot of cameras because they're for testing. But like if someone came by and they were walking around in my backyard, 3 cameras following their every move, they might think, well, why does this guy have all these cameras? Like, what is he doing? What's wrong with this neighborhood? This like high crime or something. And, people get a little uneasy when they're being filmed all the time, especially indoor cameras. Like,
well, I mean, they're going to figure it out when they see the growing lights in your basement. But, I have to want to hide it till then. So John, who used to have this channel, totally decked out, smart home, but a DIY job, obviously. He had a Hubitat system, all the devices. When he sold his house, instead of removing all that stuff, he went through and took the time to basically create a manual for the next owner. Now, it's a lot of work, and good for him. He's a great guy and very, very nice. Would that be a help? If you went to that effort, would that actually help sell the home? Would it not help sell the home, but allow just be a nice gesture? Or is it, what do you think about doing something like that?
Yeah, I think his was a very unique situation. And I think he found the perfect buyer for his home that like understood the value and was willing to pay the premium. Of course, the buyer ended up being like an engineer. And one thing that he did that I thought was pretty smart was that instead of using his own email account for everything, he made an account just for the home. That way he could pass that credentials along to the new owner, and then they would instantly have control of everything. They would have the automations built. So they're not redoing everything.
But that is great advice, by the way, even if you're not selling your home, to do that. I've not done that, but like that's a good idea.
Not either.
Yeah, it's a really good idea.
Most people, I think you're better off just doing like the factory reset and then, taking your products and selling the ones you don't want on eBay and then bringing the ones that you do want with you, and just kind of getting it back to basics. Or like people, even smart lighting, like, they can control it at the wall. So like you don't need an app or anything. So it's nice. I probably wouldn't remove it just because I want to get new lights at the new place, right? I want the latest and greatest. So I'm okay with leaving that behind. But yeah, for most people, I think it's better to just do the reset. And it's important to do that when you have internet. So what's
very true.
So what we see happen is you sell a house, right? And then they're just unpacking and you move and they're like, oh, by the way, hey, make sure to reset the thermostat and the lock and this and that. They're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, it needs to be connected. They already terminated their internet. They packed up the router, all this, and so then that can become a headache. And yeah, and even for the new owner, you just want to make sure we're starting with a clean slate. We have like the master codes, we have the manuals, we have everything reset, and then
what a pain! I can't even imagine. You keep track.
I think you have to make sure you get their network SSID password before they leave.
Yeah, so
then you can just set it back up under the same SSID.
I'm like, I don't have any of this stuff documented anywhere in my house. Like, oh my gosh, like
if you were to die tomorrow.
That's what I did. Yes. Oh, my wife would just have to burn the house and move somewhere else. I don't know what she would do.
So that goes into like people are overwhelmed by it. So got to know the audience. But like if you can make it easy to reset it, make sure to reset it at the device as well as within the app. So you have to do it in both places. A lot of times people will just do one and not the other. And then it's like,
True.
And with a lock, obviously, it's really important. Like, you don't want
Right.
stealing the lock and then gaining access to it. But there are stories of people that have had control over devices after,
That's kind of weird.
person took over. It could adjust the heat. I actually
Or unlock the door, or
I actually sold a camera system to a friend of mine, and he didn't install it right away. But then months later, he had it hooked up, and he's like, "Hey, I'm having trouble like accessing it through an account or whatever." And I logged into my account, and I was like, "Oh, I can see your cameras right now." So like he set up the network cameras and they were connected to the internet, and then since I have access to that account, I could see it. It was his warehouse or whatever. But like imagine that situation, but with someone that's the new buyer.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be a little weird.
Yeah, exactly. So those things could happen.
Is there anything that I also should be looking for when buying a home with smart home technology?
Yeah, so I think it's important to document what you're seeing when you're there, so that like they don't just remove the stuff. Like, this lock is there, this thermostat, and then again making sure that they reset everything. That's super important. But really, what a big overwhelming theme is to just assume that you're always being recorded. So state law varies, obviously, with privacy and disclosing of recordings. But I do have a story where I had a listing and the seller was waiting down the road with his dog and kids at a park just to get back into the house. And so it wasn't recording anything, but he had a Ring doorbell, and the potential buyers were at the end of the driveway, so quite a ways away from the door. But they were discussing offer terms. Like, we're going to come in at this price, but then like we're willing to go to this number, which was higher than he would have accepted. So he knew about this offer before I did. And then he's like, well, let's counter. And he went even higher than what they said they would go, what their max was, thinking that they would come, counter at the number they said. And of course, they ended up like overspending by $20,000. And so like, I just warn people that like if you're in someone else's home, just always assume you're being recorded and never
Even outside their home.
terms. Yeah, for sure. Because they have crazy range. Like think about your cameras you have now, and
I mean, that's
you can
kind of
hear weird stuff.
just good life advice. Anyways, I mean,
I think so.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you've heard of what Snowden said. They always can listen to your phone if they're worried about all that sort of thing. So not just homeowners, but like, yeah.
Who's Snowden? I'm sure.
Edward Snowden, the guy that looks like me that was in Russia.
They did an interview even like 4 or 5 years after that whole thing, and they had him in a room where they did an interview with him in Russia at the time, and they're like, do you think people still know about you? And they did a bunch of interviews. No one knew who Edward Snowden really is. He's like, I'm in exile here in Russia, and no one knows what the hell I am. It's funny. Anyways, but yes, I know who Edward Snowden is.
Good for you. Way to pay attention.
I mean, was that like 15 years ago?
Was it?
Well, it's got to be.
I don't know.
Man, I don't know.
Chopper.
All right. We love off topic.
Yeah, that's what we do here.
What do you got for me?
All right. So I've been checking out your channel. You've been doing a lot of smart home tours and things lately for the parade. What are some tech trends that you're seeing as you're going through some of these newer homes?
Yeah, so the national builders, of course, are offering their smart home packages. They're saying like everything's included. It's very turnkey. So you're getting like the doorbell, the lock, that type of thing. On the luxury side, the builders are finally embracing a robust network. So most of them have Ethernet throughout. Occasionally I'll see where they have overlooked this completely, and I'm just like, what? Like, I can't imagine spending millions of dollars on a home and then not having good internet.
Or a golf simulator. That's terrible.
Well,
right. So
golf simulators are definitely on the rise. Like that's very popular in the $1 million+ range. So that's been good. But one thing that has me pretty excited is that builders are embracing smart lighting and shading, which is I've been just preaching forever. Because there's nothing worse than like having 6 switches on the wall. You don't know what they do, and then it just looks ugly. Like you have $1 million+ home, and
so you're talking about like getting like a panel, or a
like
panel type thing,
smart lighting in general. But yeah, a touch panel is ideal. And then as an agent, selfishly, when I'm doing the showings, I like to be able to just like one button, all the lights on and off. such a pain. Like you do a showing, you gotta go run around and turn all the lights on, and then when you try to leave, you gotta turn them off. But no, it's for like living wise. I think quality of life, smart lighting and shading is awesome. And I
For sure.
like 3 years ago, we weren't seeing it as much. And I think what's happening is that like the consumers are going out to these tours, they're seeing it, and now they're starting to demand it. So that the next homes are have that. And I think locally, the integrators are doing a better job of like helping people understand the value and why they should do these things. So the builders are seeing that, and then they're offering it to the buyers. And
Are the builders doing this stuff themselves, or are they just hiring integrators that know what they're doing? We talked earlier about the minimal packages. Are the builders doing those packages, or are they hiring people out to do that?
yeah, so with the national builders, they just have like the contracts, right? So like their electricians are just doing the electrical part. There's something new there, but like on the luxury side, they're partnering with an integrator, which I kind of like consider like working with an architect or a designer. So just one more trade. So
Sure.
you handle all things low voltage.
Got it.
And put it all together. But yeah, we're seeing an increase in that partnerships and like that being offered or like included basically. Whereas before it might be like you had to know about that to request it, and then maybe you knew someone. It was a little bit more limited. Whereas now, yeah, it's good options out there. So it's exciting.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing like even outdoor shades and stuff and cool stuff like that. Audio video distribution, I'd say, isn't as prevalent. Theaters aren't as common, but
Really, audio video is not like AV equipment, like whole home.
like yeah, so the whole like that would be like having a Crestron system where it's like sending it out. I'm really only seeing that on very large homes now.
Really? Okay.
Frame TV is obviously super popular. So it's like everybody wants to have that. Put that like above the fireplace, even in random spots. So it's like, oh, that looks really cool.
I have one.
Yes.
Yeah, it's on my LED wall.
Nice.
Oh yeah, that's right.
There-
I haven't seen any LED walls
I know.
on the tours at all, but I have a
New trend coming.
really cool one coming up. So the owner of Admit One actually built a house in prior Lake, and so like they're kind of using it as an extension of their showroom, and so they put everything, but instead of like hiding it, which would be more traditional, like having it in a closet, it's just like out front and center, and so like by the bar you can like see the full rack and
Interesting.
yeah, and
It looks neat.
A little more modern
Like
kind of.
my wife would so not approve of that. Even like I don't know.
how that's their business.
Okay, yeah.
That's right. Like, and most people wouldn't do that. They would.
It's probably a tax write-off too. The whole,
Oh,
yeah. Shouts. Like, this is showroom number two.
Yeah. So he's got all of the examples of the different ways you could do lighting control, which is really cool. And he's got the rack, and then a theater. Obviously, there's a space where all the speakers are exposed. Then in the bedroom, they have a steel-mounted bed, so like it's mounted to the wall. It's like hovering, but it has a TV built into it that like comes out of the bottom and then flips up.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so you're like
I've seen the one that's come out of cabinets, but
yeah, so the same technology, but this one just comes out and then flips up, which is pretty neat.
that'd be interesting.
So yeah, I'm excited to do it.
I always thought it'd be better like to have a TV on the ceiling in your room because you lay it down
up,
like versus like front of you, you have to sit up.
Yeah.
Or
I always thought at the dentist they should put a TV up on. They do. They do.
Yeah, when then I down the road, then I got
I got a freaking change dentist. What the heck?
watch some HD TV.
I get this picture that's the most boring picture in the world. I'm like, how did like
talking to you about dental implants or something like stick on the wall like an advertising.
it's crazy. I'm like, put a TV up there for me, man. So I'm switching. All right, I'm switching dentists. So that's what we learned is that make sure you get your technology.
You do have ceiling mounts.
for TVs?
Yeah, the ones that like they can like they'll fold up and fold down.
Yeah. This one it like actually goes into like the tiled ceiling, so it's just one of the tiles is.
Well, nice, interesting.
Do you get to pick what you're watching?
Yeah. It's usually, I
cool.
don't think a lot of people actually change it. It's almost always on HGTV when I'm there.
Oh,
Occasionally it's been on the news. I'm like,
the game. That's really on the game show network. Kind of. That would be like.
Family Feud all day.
they get closed captioning on too, so you can see.
Oh, that's phenomenal. All right, I'm gonna put you on the spot before we before we go. What is the coolest piece of smart home technology you have seen in any of the tours you've been to?
That is a great question. So I recently toured one that had a mini hockey rink, and they had a button that
Was it like a hockey rink with actual ice on it, or was it like
it was like
The synthetic
ice?
yeah. But it had a button for the goal, and then it made like the
Oh, nice.
siren thing go off with the red light, which they needed to make it like an automation.
Right. Yeah.
Automatically. But it was a button. So that was pretty cool. I guess that would be it.
Oh, very neat.
I've seen those like even like someone has like watching their sports team on TV, and you can set up automations where if they score a goal, it'll
I was
turn
trying.
the lights and sirens off in the house.
I wanted to do that. I have actually my lights set for the football games at home, but I wanted to do it so like when the Vikings scored a touchdown, it would like do something. But like, even though there was a feed I could get to do it with, like the timing is not
It's not on.
right. It's like, well, it'd like take 45 seconds, and then it would finally trigger. Or if my TV was behind, then it would trigger at the right. Like it's just
yeah, like to ruin the moment.
Right.
I think.
also.
Big anticipation. Here it comes.
I was at a restaurant last night, and the TVs were on different. They were showing the same game.
Yeah.
And it was the
The
Hail.
delay was different.
It was the Hail Mary, the Washington Hail Mary against the Bears.
Yeah.
And like, so we heard this eruption on the other side of the restaurant, and they hadn't even thrown the
yeah.
cast yet. I'm like,
Yeah.
I got a lot of guys running it.
They should have been doing audio video distribution because
yeah, there we go.
all the TVs would be synced at the same time. But so that same house I was mentioning, they had a TV wall. So there's 4 TVs, but they could be all done as one, or
That's sweet.
each individually.
That's what I want to do.
Games. That was pretty cool. Bar area. And then on the main level, they had these unique switches that were very satisfying to switch. They had like a nice throw to them.
Like
they weren't
metal ones?
parts or anything, but yeah, they were
Yeah, the metal ones.
Buster switches or whatever.
Yeah, they're super expensive.
Yeah, they were saying $100.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
And then
What?
yeah.
Well, I think real metal, like it's
Really
like they're heavy duty.
Upstairs, I noticed they had regular switches, and downstairs as well. He's like, yeah, well, when the switches are $100 each, like
Not gonna spend
Yeah, limit
$5,000 on switches.
I mean, Lutron switches aren't that much cheaper than that too. But
touche.
all right, guys, I thought we'd have a little fun segment here for the show today. So I've got we're gonna play Would You Rather. All right, it's a home automation Would You Rather game.
Ooh. And we don't know this at all. This is just impromptu.
It is. It's actually, we're not even lying about that. This is actually impromptu. So, all right. So here we go. We got a few questions here. Would you rather live in a home with 100% automation or a home with no automation? When I say 100% automation, I mean there is no switches. Like you cannot manually control anything. It's all automated, to your liking, of course. But there's no manual control versus no automation, but 100% manual control.
Well, 100%. 100% in.
100% automation?
Heck yeah.
See,
Same.
I feel like you can't get that perfect. And I think that would be more annoying.
You said it would be perfect.
Well, it would dial into your, but like there's gonna be time. Like you can't. I feel like
No. You said it would be perfect.
I didn't say it.
dialed in.
I
This
said-
home predicts my every move. It does everything. It
This is gonna
wipes
be
my
like,
butt.
Okay, if it
It's
did
got
that-
a
Sounds like
bidet.
I think he's like getting to the point of like your smart home is gonna murder you if you.
I mean,
Isn't there a
that's-
movie out
that's-
there? Is there a movie
yeah.
where your smart home murders you?
Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah.
Should be.
Yeah, there is.
Also, on the plane, I just watched a movie where this lady built this crazy smart home and trapped the killer in the smart home.
Oh, nice.
And that was a fun
Oh, it's like an escape room
yeah.
for
Yeah,
your
yeah,
for
it
a
was
home
great.
invader.
All
I should
these
make a video on that.
automations.
How to trap intruders in your smart home.
How to live trap burglars.
I think you'd be
Can't
getting
kill
some.
him.
You'd be like getting some visits from the FBI. I feel like.
Possibly.
Depending on the state, I guess.
Okay, so you guys are 100% automation. All right. So would you rather teach your
You
parent?
didn't say which one you would do.
I did. I said I would go with the
Oh.
no auto. I feel like you can't.
Of course you would.
Yeah. Perfection. All right. Would you rather teach your parents how to automate their home or have them teach you how to do math on a slide rule?
The hell is a slide rule?
You never seen a slide rule?
That
My
sounds like a
parents-
fun time.
It's-
Let's do it.
It's before calculators. It was literally. It's a.
No, I see.
Piece
I
of
have
plastic.
something. I
Sounds
have
like-
something to learn, so let's go with that option. I'm
Sounds
not
like a
teaching
good-
my mom
maybe-
about smart home tech.
Maybe like a good drinking game. Learn how to do a slide rule.
That's the shitty thing about being the tech guy is that now all of a sudden you're tech support for your entire family.
Exactly.
Now you know how
Like, oh, the
electricians
internet's
and
down,
plumbers
like-
feel every single day
Yeah,
of their
for
lives.
sure. Like, well, I'm not there since I cannot help you. Well, come on over, as if I didn't have anything else going on
Right.
in my life.
Exactly.
Like,
They asked me about their PCs. I haven't used a PC in 25 years, and whatever.
I'd probably go the automation route.
You teach your parents how to automate?
Yep.
I think I would.
My dad's dead, so I'm part of the dead dad club.
Yeah, yeah.
So I only got one.
So he's got half the work to do.
That's true. That's
So
true.
I've got 2 minutes.
And he still doesn't want to do it. So.
No, I'd rather do that than the slide rule.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm. Yeah, I don't want to learn how to slide rule. That's
I'll pass on that.
difficult. All right.
Unless it was a drinking game, then I'm in.
Everything is a drinking game if you want it to be a drinking game. This game right now can be a drinking game. You predict what we predict.
Join
and-
along. Yeah. All right. Would you rather your voice assistant have an aggressive Australian accent
Yes. The answer is yes.
or talk like a toddler? So
No, Australian accent
Oh,
for
yeah.
the win. Why is this even a question? Aussie man. I want Aussie man to be my house.
Like all the time?
All the time.
All right.
Oh, that would be
I'm
incredible.
I'd probably still go with that, but I think you'll get annoying pretty quick.
Nope.
You're like, nope.
It'd
I
be really
want
nice
that.
to have the
I'd
guy
pay
with the
extra for that.
voice from like Forensic Files
Ooh.
as your home assistant
I'm
voice. I
honestly
think.
surprised there's not more options.
I agree.
Like Josh has a couple, but like there needs to be more.
Like, why don't they have more? Like maybe like somewhere weird, like serial killer,
Yeah.
voice.
My wife says that I treat the voice assistants differently. Like I'm inherently sexist towards, like against Alexa. I don't know if it's true or not, but honestly, it's
Your
she's
tone
not-
changes or what?
She's less responsive.
Are you polite to
But
your
I'm
voice
like
assistant?
I like ask questions in weird ways to them.
That is probably true. I do call Miss A the B word sometimes. So
That's rude.
Yeah, I don't know. When I use ChatGPT, I say
Josh,
please and thank you, just because I'm like, I don't know. What if it takes over someday?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm like, you gotta watch your P's and Q's, I guess. So, all right. Would you rather do a podcast? So we have our smart home podcast, right? If you couldn't do this podcast and you had to do a podcast that wasn't this, would you rather do a podcast about sports
No.
or about auto repair and maintenance? You have to do
probably
one.
would.
But it's a Tesla, so the auto repair is going to be me putting windshield wiper fluid into once every 6
you gotta
months.
do tires
or so.
still and brake pads.
Yeah, well, that's me bringing it over to Discount Tire. Brake pads, you don't use brakes in electric vehicles.
What?
Regen. Yeah, they're
Still
never-
breaks.
There's no
No,
brake pads.
We have brakes, but we don't use them. You just regen.
Oh yeah, I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Unless
But,
there was
but
like
it does have brake
there
pads.
What if, you
was
had
an
to, what if you had to fix
emergency.
the regen? What if you had to change that out,
And
huh?
I'd bring it to the service
Well,
center.
that's what your podcast is about.
That's
though.
a really insightful podcast. We're doing it. I think we just did it.
I probably would also do vehicle maintenance.
Oh my gosh! All right, I'd obviously do sports because I like
Well,
sports.
and
so-
yours would just be about golf. So
yes, it
that's
would.
a sport.
It'd be awesome. I may
You'd
already
sport it up.
have one. So
You're the sportiest sport
I love
in this
sports.
room. Well,
This is like
no, Alex is here. Sorry. He probably plays real sports.
he might. He's got some athletic build there. He's got it going on. All right. Okay. Next question. Would you rather watch Paul Hibbert do a video for the hookup, so a straight-laced, super detailed video on the hookup, or would you rather watch Rob do a goofy video for
Rob
Paul
doing a
Hibbert?
goofy video. That'd be incredible.
Ooh, they both would be good.
Yeah, we need to make
I feel
this
like
happen.
this
should
is
make
a
this
good idea. I think
collaboration.
this is like a really good collab. Like have Rom write the script, and Paul's got to do all the things. And I think it's a good idea.
All right. Well,
But I would probably pick the hookup doing comical.
doing Paul. I think that'd be kind of funny to see if you could pull that
Try
off.
to see
He's
if you
got
can-
some good jokes.
He's a funny guy. So, but there's only one Paul Hibbert. So,
This is true.
but that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. So, all right, I got a couple more here. Would you rather only be able to automate using YAML code? So you couldn't. There was no any sort of
No UI.
UI, or only be able to automate using Alexa routines. So you're just limited to.
She's got a hunch though. I'm
She
gonna
does
go-
have a hunch. Her hunches are
I'm gonna
terrible.
go with- I'm gonna go with her hunches.
Can I use AI to create my YAML code?
Yeah,
for
you can
me?
use the ad. You create.
I
your
probably
YAML.
would go that
You'd
route.
go that route. So no, there's no UI. You're just purely going on.
No, I could probably do it. I mean, after you look at it from afar, and you're like, oh my god, that's super complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start kind of looking at the lines and stuff, you're like this is not that difficult to do.
It's that difficult.
I'm sticking with the hunches.
I'd go with
Hunch.
Alexa. I'd go with Alexa for sure.
Why would you go with that, B?
Because I don't want to learn YAML. Oh, where'd my
There are a
last?
lot of devices connected to it. It's not terrible.
My last.
not-
All right.
Not
Okay.
the best though.
Yeah, I'm going with it. Or what if it was Apple? Would Apple change your mind if it was?
No, that's even worse.
Yeah, like dashboard
automation
wise,
sucks.
superior, but automation wise, ugh.
Yeah. What if you had to make
Trash.
your whole dashboard out of YAML code too? You couldn't even.
Oh, some guys do that. I don't know how they do it.
I don't know either.
I just use the regular UI dashboard. So
that's how you play Would You Rather. So, okay. So thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you to our sponsor, Zeus, for sponsoring this show. Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Vince. And I pointed him the wrong way again, and I'm keeping it that way.
thanks.
Everybody still like. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.